Forgive me for the way that I look right now, guys. I've just come off the golf course, haven't played golf for 10 weeks, and I thought that was a drought. The Bombers. The Bombers are in a drought. I'm not going to memify it again. It's been done to death, but we do need to talk about whether the Bombers are ready to break their finals drought, who are the best opponents to do it against, and let's look at the rest of their season to see where they could or where I think they will finish at the end of the home and away season. Let's go. With 7 games to go in the season, the Bombers are 5th on the ladder and going beautifully at their moment. Their best looks really, really good, without a shadow of a doubt. Now, 5th on the ladder, being the 5th best team, of course, is great for the Bombers fans. However, there is quite a gap, I think, between Collingwood, Port Adelaide, and the rest. So I've got Collingwood, Port Adelaide, and then the next tier, Brisbane, and then Daylight. Now, are Essendon in that next tier? I think absolutely they are, because... and I feel like we do this too much in sport, is Essendon are one of those teams that this year only, so I'm not regarding history or anything like that, that are continually being told to us non-Bombers fans that they can't do XYZ because of a perceived weakness. But what the Bombers have got over some other teams, and I think of Adelaide away from home in this scenario, I think of Carlton, Gold Coast, Richmond, these sorts of teams, is that their strength is single-handedly winning them games, and they're able to pull it off pretty consistently. The Bombers, the fast ball movement, the midfield dominance, and the way they've been able to spread their scores with and without Peter Wright has been a strength that they've been able to do consistently enough to get themselves 5th on the ladder. That's a tick. That's a huge tick. Am I worried about their centre-half back? Yes. But Essendon are not a premiership contender. We don't think they are, but this is still a success for them. Now, if they don't win a final this year, this season, I think needs to be looked at a bit of a nothing season. Bombers fans are going to see it as an improvement, and so they should. Fans of their team, great, but the greater footy world aren't really going to see it as a big win. But right now, they're going beautifully. And with 7 games to go and you want to be leading into finals, I don't think there is a team with a better run home. Hang on, what do you mean by that, Daz? Do they have the bottom 7 teams in the competition? No. They have the perfect mix of games. They've got easy beats. North, West Coast. They should win those. They've got 3 semi-difficult games, so we know where they're at. The Bulldogs, the Giants, the Swans. Okay, so 2 easy beats. 3 iffy games. You know, they probably need to go 2-1 in them. Maybe. And then they've got Geelong this week at GMHBA, whatever you think of that. And in round 24, they've got Collingwood. And they need to win one of those, in my opinion. If Essendon beat Geelong this week at GMHBA Stadium, they're a finals lock, straight up. I still think they'll get there, but if they end up beating North West Coast on the run home, one of GWS and Sydney and the Bulldogs, it's still a good run home, but I think they're going to need a win over at least Geelong or Collingwood, or at least be really close in those games. They can't get blown off the park in either of those, I don't think, to be a credentialed final side. Now, can they do it? Absolutely. Am I backing them to do it? I don't know whether I can tip them against Geelong or Collingwood. They would be upset wins. But the other 5, I genuinely think they're going to win 3, and 2 of them are a coin flip. Their best, they'd go 5-0. Their worst, I still think they're going 2-3. If they lose to North or West Coast, they're going to rebound from that. They're going to come back from that, I think. So it is going to even out for them. I think the Bombers are playing finals. On the back of their skipper being absolutely awesome. Off the back of a very, very good midfield. Improvement in the ruck, but also the improvement defensively. Ridley, Redmond, these guys have been really, really good. And I think the Bombers are playing finals. For what it's worth. Now, if you disagree, comment below, let me know. I would love to hear from you. But who do they want to play? Well, if you're 5th or 6th, you'll just take any... 6th, I should say. Why is that difficult for me to say? 5th or 6th? I tried saying it too fast. There we go. We're back in business. They'll take anyone. Now, the good thing is there are only really 2 clubs I can see finishing 5th or 6th, and the Bombers having to travel in week 1 of the finals. And that, of course, being Adelaide and GWS, potentially. I'm not saying they're going to, but they're the ones that are in contention. Now, they're playing the Giants away in the run home. So, we're going to get a good look at what they're like at Spotless. Not that scary. Adelaide is the big one. I don't think the Bombers can beat the Crows at home in a final. The Crows are 7-2, 7-2, I should say, in their 9 games at Adelaide Oval this year. Going really well. I think that would send the Bombers out, and I don't think Gold Coast are finishing 5th or 6th, and I'm not backing Freo to make the finals from here. And of course, everyone else, game on. Whether it is St Kilda, the Bulldogs, Geelong, which would be really interesting if they get there, Richmond, Carlton. Man, can you imagine a Richmond or a Carlton and Essendon final? My goodness. Essendon and Geelong would still be really interesting. I think Geelong win their first final no matter who they're playing. I think they would want to play a team like the Bulldogs in week 1, more than maybe an Essendon, or of course if St Kilda get there, they'd love to play them as well, because the Saints are kind of teetering a little. But I'm loving what I'm seeing from the Bombers. But ideally, if they stay 5th, they really want, I reckon, Geelong and the Bulldogs to jump up. And I reckon they would rightly back themselves against Richmond, against Carlton, against Adelaide at home at the MCG, or any of these teams. I just think Essendon and Geelong at the MCG for a final, the Cats would get it done. Against everyone else, genuinely game on, which is great. So Bombers fans, I don't mean to jinx you, but I am riding this finals drought train with you. The other thing that I want to say is Brad Scott is being really underrated in terms of his coaching performance this year, I think. Yes, you might get maybe frustrated. I see a lot of people on Twitter get semi-annoyed with what Matty Lloyd's got to say because they think it's just the Essendon bias, and whether I agree with that or not is, well, pretty easy for me to say I don't. I think, yes, Lloydie does want to talk about Essendon a bit more passionately than other teams. Can you blame the man? Has he also been one of the harsher critics of the Bombers in the past? Yes. That's what balance is. Bias in the good times is good as long as you don't ignore the bad, and he has not done that in any way, shape, or form. Trust me, there are plenty in the media that jump on the bias bandwagon when the team they're associated with is good, but when they're bad, really do scurry away. And if there are names that come to mind for you, that's all I'll say. What I'm really liking from the Bombers as well is their ability to go from inside to outside with purpose. Darcy Parish proving a lot of people wrong, and whilst I'm firmly on the bandwagon that Essendon do need to keep him, they are running a midfielder or two short. I don't think many of their other midfielders that they could get out of the side. I still don't think Dylan Shields going to be at the Bombers next year. I know even our Bombers fans are not happy that I say that, but that's just, he's in his 30s. I think another club could use him better than what he's being used at the moment, and that's fine, because when you've got Hobbs, Caldwell, these guys that are coming into the centre bounces with Merritt and Parish, that's a win, guys. I'm not saying he's a scrub, I don't like him, yada, yada, yada. For the benefit of your football club, do you want Dylan Shield playing, say, 22 games next year, or Elijah Sardis, or Ben Hobbs? I think with how good Merritt and Parish are going at the moment, give me either of those youngsters. That's all I'm saying. And down back, Mason Redman, I do love it's not really going home because where he grew up was kind of on the Victoria and South Australian border. But my question that I don't think is being discussed by anyone except for, surprisingly, Matt Guelphy, Essendon and Adelaide are kind of on the same path at the moment. You're definitely not leaving because you think one's going to be better than the other. And I would never begrudge players for wanting to get as much money as they can. I'm not suggesting that's what Mason's doing, but if that does turn out to be a reason, I've got no problem with it at all. Whether it's my team, another team, don't care. Go get that bag, son. Shit's expensive. But I love what he's doing. Are the Bombers the finished product? No. And in my opinion, that is what makes them so exciting. And I know, Bombers fans, you've got PTSD or pre-finals trauma or whatever you want to call it at this point. When it comes to your side, I understand that. But I'm here to give you a vote of confidence. You're doing a lot of things right, and there is huge scope for improvement at the moment. Not quite at Collingwood, Port, or even a Brisbane tier, but the next tier below at your best, oh yeah. And what a run home it is going to be. I'm going to predict that they are going to go 4-3 in the run home. They are going to make the finals, and if they play anyone but Geelong, I'd almost tip them, to be really honest. But it's going to be a fun run home. Where do you think the Bombers are going to end up? Whether you're a Bombers fan or not a Bombers fan. Comment below, let me know. If you like the video, subscribe to join the Daz Talks Footy family. And this video has been brought to you by Capital Edge, the leaders in investment property education. They are wanting to get everyday Australians started on their investment journey, and they've been big supporters of the channel for a while now. So visit capitaledgeaustralia.com.au to find out more. or you can call the number that is on your screen right now. Thank you so much to them. Thank you so much to you guys. Enjoy your weekend. Can't wait to see you again. Goodbye.